Welcome to the 2021 school year. My name is Dr. Savar, Assistant Superintendent of Education Services, and I will be sharing about the continuum of learning in our reopening plan with you today. Although the Centralia School District will be starting the 2021 school year in distance learning, I will be sharing about the instructional learning models for your child in the event we are allowed to return to school in person. I will also be providing details on the start of school. Our district is constantly monitoring the COVID-19 data and the guidance provided by our governor, the CDC, and state policies AB 77 and SB 98. And taking a look at this data, you will see that in order for us to return back to school in person, the daily case counts must have confirmed probable cases below 100, plus the positive test rate must be below 8% for 14 consecutive days. Once we get the clearance to reopen our schools, we can reopen after 14 days with the following measures in place. Through cleaning and disinfection, public health investigation protocols, and consultation with the local public health department, we can proceed to open our school buildings to students. Now shifting over to instruction. In the development of our educational programming, it is critical that we have continuity of instruction, especially as we could possibly navigate from one mode of learning to another. There are some important key areas that will assist in ensuring that our students have continuity of instruction. In planning for our instructional planning, it was important to analyze the data from our teacher and parent surveys to meet the needs of our students. Based on this data, CESD's instructional programming focuses on three key focus areas: relationships and connectedness, mental health and wellness, and academics and learning. These areas have been carefully examined to maximize our student growth and development. The recommendation to utilize a continuum of learning model is presented after extensive parent input clarified the need for our district to provide responsive choices to meet the varied needs of our families during this extraordinary time. The continuum of learning was designed to provide a meaningful experience for our students. We want our educational programming to be meaningful in whatever learning model our students participate in. We also wanted our plan to be fluid. As the state provides us with the necessary guidance, we want to align our programming to guarantee that our students get what they need if we need to transition into the various learning models that we are implementing. We also want to be equitable. Being able to provide the supports that are needed for each student is paramount, especially in these unprecedented times. The modes of learning in this continuum include in-person instruction, distance learning 2.0, and an alternative model called the Virtual Learning Academy. The continuum of learning has been designed to be a fluid program. There may be times where our schedule will need to be flexible, navigating to and from the different modes of learning included in the continuum based on directives by local and state agencies. For the in-person instruction model, students will return to school for up to 5 days a week in person or through a hybrid model as space permits. There could be possible adjustments to the daily schedule with staggered start and end times. Safety protocols will be in place to support hand washing, social distancing, protective measures, cleaning of classrooms, offices, and other areas on campus. This will allow for our students to interact with their teacher and peers in person with a daily schedule to facilitate learning and incorporate safety protocols. Instruction will take place in the classroom. Students will be able to connect with their peers and staff in this model. All of the same procedures on ensuring daily attendance is taken, standard space grading will be in place, a daily schedule will be shared with parents, instruction in all of the content areas will be implemented, including English language arts, mathematics, the sciences, electives, and physical education. In addition, English language development will be provided for our English language learners. Some activities and events can possibly resume depending on the guidance from the state. I will now share the entry plan for the in-person model. If Centralia School District is allowed to return to school in person, we will return in phases. The first phase will include bringing back our TK through second grade students and our students in special day class. This will give our students a chance to acclimate back into the physical classroom and school campus. After 1 week, we will move into phase 2, where we will have our 3rd through 6th grade students return back in person. These phases will provide a smooth transition back into our schools and allow our students to become familiar with the safety protocols throughout the day. For the Distance Learning 2.0 model, all learning is virtual and provided 5 days a week. This is our second phase of implementing distance learning, which is why we are calling it Distance Learning 2.0. As compared to last trimester's distance learning implementation, or as we like to call it, crisis teaching, due to the fact that we were in an emergency situation where we had to rapidly switch over to distance learning, students in Distance Learning 2.0 will receive rigorous instruction and meet online with their teachers daily. The daily schedule includes up to 4 hours of synchronous and asynchronous instruction. Lessons will be provided by a teacher through live and pre-recorded lessons in whole group, small group, and individual sessions as needed. Similar to the in-person model, students will have time to work independently with teacher support if needed. Daily attendance and student engagement will be monitored this school year while in Distance Learning 2.0. Standards-based grading will be documented and parents will be informed through progress reports and report cards. A daily schedule and a week at a glance will be shared with parents to increase clarity of the school day. Instruction will include the core subject areas daily, with sciences, social studies, and electives provided for our students. English language development will also be provided for our English language learners. The next model that I will share with you is our alternative model called the Virtual Learning Academy. The CESD Virtual Learning Academy is a program that our district is offering to provide a model for families that want something different than the in-person instruction and Distance Learning 2.0 models, which provides more flexibility and is a more independent program for their child. In this model, all learning is virtual and may be a choice for a select group of students as space allows. It is 100% online and runs 5 days a week. In this model, students are provided with a personalized, flexible, independent learning opportunity with the CESD credentialed teacher. If this model is selected, students will meet minimally with a credentialed CESD teacher and will be provided with standards-based assignments. The Virtual Learning Academy includes minimal, synchronous, with an emphasis on asynchronous learning. There will be a standards-based grading system in place with ongoing parent feedback. This model will need more directed parent support and involvement. To break down the comparison of Distance Learning 2.0 and the CESD Virtual Learning Academy, I will share with you a side-by-side graphic of the differences. As you can see in this side-by-side comparison, Distance Learning 2.0 offers a structured program with the set instructional minutes with a heavier emphasis on synchronous live instruction. Distance Learning 2.0 is comparable to an in-person mode of learning, as described earlier. In the Virtual Learning Academy, there is more flexibility in this model, with an increased emphasis on independent assignments. In short, there is less teacher interaction and more parent support would be required with the assignments given. Students would meet with a CESD credentialed teacher and engaged with a standards-based curriculum that differs from the Distance Learning 2.0 curriculum. Students would be meeting minimally once a day to receive their assignments. The Virtual Learning Academy teachers would have office hours if any additional help or support is needed on the assignments given. Our CESD classrooms will implement free and appropriate public education to the greatest extent possible. Students with disabilities will be provided the same instructional options as students in the general education setting. For students in special education, our goal is to provide the maximum amount of services and supports to the extent possible, while continuing to follow public health agency requirements for social distancing. IEP timelines for initials, triennials, and reevaluations are currently suspended due to distance learning. Once our school district is cleared to reopen, all assessment timelines will resume. IEP teams may schedule annual IEP meetings with parent consent through telephone or digital platforms. Teachers and related service providers will continue to utilize evidence-based practices, including specialized academic instruction using curriculum aligned to district and state standards. Our special education team is developing plans for students that receive special education supports and services along the continuum of learning options. Within our learning models, students will receive services listed in their Individualized Education Plan, or IEP, virtually, to the extent possible. An individual distance learning plan and amendment may be necessary to document a temporary model of schooling with an adjustment to service minutes. This is not a one-size-fits-all, so we will work with the students and families throughout the IEP process. Thank you so much for your time. Remember that we are in this journey together. If you have any questions, please reach out to your school principal.